Hi, everybody. Today, I wanted to speak to you about befriending your big emotions. I know that emotions can be quite scary. They can feel really uncomfortable in our body. They can feel like they're never going to end. They can feel big and overwhelming and all sorts of stuff. Now, research out there shows that a lot of people, most people who were interviewed, in fact, worked in three main emotions: mad, sad, or glad. So basically, happy, angry, or sad. And that was pretty much the only texture and color and vibrancy that they could give to their emotions. Now, as a kinesiologist, we work with all sorts of shades of emotion. We work with a tapestry of really drilling down into what the actual emotion or feeling is. And we bring in awareness on that. So I'm going to use anger as an example because anger is a really good one. We've often been told that anger isn't great and that we shouldn't feel it and that it's a negative emotion and it's bad and it's horrible and we just shouldn't feel it. We are often guilted into hiding, suppressing, or repressing our anger. Now, anger itself isn't a problem. Our reaction when we're angry is often what causes the hurt, the disconnect, and the scratchiness with other people. It's often that disconnect that we aren't comfortable with and that causes a bigger rift in relationships. Anger can actually be a really, really useful emotion if used well. And I heard a quote from Dolly Parton yesterday in a podcast I was listening to where she says, "I don't lose my anger anymore. I don't lose my temper anymore. I use my temper." She's taken control of it and she uses what she needs to use to get a result she needs to get. Now, anger itself can tell us a lot about what we're going through. Anger tells us when our boundaries have been violated. It tells us when we're afraid. It tells us when we are feeling really big emotions. When we are feeling hurt, we would prefer to feel pissed off than hurt. So we would prefer to be able to express our anger and project it onto somebody else than feel the hurt that sits underneath it. And that hurt can be a number of things. It can be feeling disrespected, feeling unloved, feeling unseen or unheard, feeling a lot of big emotions, feeling unloved. The example I often give is when we ask our children to clean their rooms, and we ask them again and again and again. And by the 5th or 10th time, we are losing our shit and going batshit crazy at them. Now, oftentimes, that is not about us and the room. The room has lost the prevalence in that situation. Often by the time we are getting to that losing our minds feeling, we are feeling unheard, we're feeling disrespected, we're feeling unloved, we're feeling something a lot bigger than the fact that they're just not doing as we've asked. And once we can start to look at what's sitting underneath our anger, for example, we can start to heal it in the moment. We can start to tap into it. Now, if we're in a full-blown fight and flight response, that becomes less easy. That full-blown fight and flight response pushes us into our back brain, into that part where we can't access our full front creative brain, our rational thinking, our creative thinking. Once we start to come out of that adrenal response and take a few breaths and get back into our bodies, then we are able to assess, why am I feeling angry? What is this emotion hiding? Now, I'm using anger as an example because it's a really easy one to use. And it's one that I feel that we can all relate to. The other thing with anger, say, for example, is give it a shade. Give it a bit more color and texture. So am I at the end of the spectrum where it's frustration or annoyance? That kind of scratchiness where you're just feeling irritated? Or is it up the other end of the scale where it's real rage or wrath? Now, rage for me is that red rag to a bull. It is just, I have no chance. I'm in full reaction mode. I am not able to access that creative part of my brain where I could respond instead of react in that circumstance. And wrath for me, the definition of it I have heard that resonates most with me is wrath as justified anger. And I love wrath because I can hold it at the same time as I can hold love and forgiveness and compassion for somebody. I can hold wrath that their behavior was something I do not condone, or their actions are not those that I enjoy or like being on the receiving end of. And I can still hold forgiveness and love and everything at the same time. It's not an either or, it is an and situation. So what kind of other colors and things can we give to emotion? Fear goes into the same thing. Am I feeling dread and terror and panic? Am I feeling hopelessly exposed emotionally or in some other way? So start to look at what you are feeling and start to become friends with those emotions. Start to ask what they are doing there. Why am I feeling afraid right now? Why am I feeling angry right now? What is it trying to tell me? It can be that when we're feeling anger, we can look at that emotion of anger and go, okay, I'm feeling angry right now. Again, not using the terminology I am angry, because what I am angry does to us is it brings that anger in and we are the anger, which gives us no room for anything else. Saying I feel angry gives us a bit of distance. It gives us a bit more perspective, a bit more objectivity, and we're able to step back and look at it from a slightly different angle. So I feel angry. Okay, why am I feeling angry? What is that emotion trying to tell me? What information is that emotion bringing into my body? And then we can validate why it's there. Well, actually, I'm feeling angry because my boundaries have been violated, or I actually just haven't given myself enough love, care, and attention of late. So I'm feeling really depleted and I feel like I don't have a lot left in my tank to give. They're actually quite valid reasons for anger to be present in our body. And once we have acknowledged the emotion and validated why it's there, we give that emotion permission to move through our body, to be released. We're not fighting against it anymore and therefore somatizing it or keeping it stuck in the body. We're allowing it to move through, which means that we won't have that same bit of anger sitting there in time. It's able to move and transform into something else. Another study that I found was really, really interesting is that they've done some studies on the body chemistry and brain chemistry where they've realized that any emotion can only stay in the body for 90 seconds at a time. And then it will shift and change into something else. So when we're feeling those big emotions, breathing into them, acknowledging why it's there, validating why it's there, and giving it a name, we actually shorten that time that it's in the body. We shorten our reactionary time to it and we're able to flow into something else quicker. And I love that emotional fluency. And by giving all of those names to the emotions, I'm actually more aware of my emotional state. I give myself color and texture and depth and light and shadow, contrast. So that tapestry of my life becomes brighter and more vibrant because I understand myself better. I move through tough situations with greater ease. I'm not saying it's easy, but with greater ease than I used to. And I'm able to deal with emotions as they arise. Now, I do have to admit, sometimes I am too close to my situation to be able to give myself that distance. And that's when I call one of those people that I have on my speed dial, either another kinesiologist that I will work with, a reflexologist, a massage therapist, a Reiki healer, a psychical medium. I have lots of different people on my speed dial that can help me when I get too close to my stuff so that I can shift it out and gain that objectivity and that perspective. So that's also a really important part of me befriending my emotions and being okay, is having other people who can hold space for me as I discover those emotions that are sitting there that I haven't been able to see previously. But it is such a worthwhile step to move forward, to understand ourselves at a deeper level, to learn to have love and compassion for where we are in that moment right now. And it helps us bring in that generosity. And I love Brené Brown's version or description of generosity, which is, if I believe that everybody is doing the best they can at the time, it makes my life easier. Now, I add a little bit to that generosity is actually believing that everybody is doing the best they can at the time with the tools they have available to them. Because when we are in our back brain mode, we don't have all of those tools that reside in our front creative brain. It's like the tool shed's kind of locked up and we can't find the key. So if we can extend that generosity to other people, it does make our life easier. But what superpowers that is if we can extend that generosity to ourselves first, to understand that even when we are in reactionary anger or a reactionary pattern, that we are doing the best we can with the tools we have available to us at the time. I don't believe anybody wakes up in the morning and goes, gee, I'm going to cause pain to X, Y, and Z today. It may come as an unfortunate side effect of being in that back brain reactionary mode. But I truly don't believe anybody wakes up wanting to hurt other people or damage other people or do anybody else wrong. I believe we actually have that goodness within us. And the more we can be aware of our emotions at the time, the quicker we can work through them, the quicker we can come to that responsive mode rather than the reactionary mode, the quicker we can access our front brain creative tools and put them into practice as we are going through those interactions. If you are unsure of other words to use for emotions, download some emotion charts from the internet. I have dozens of them in my clinic spaces. I have them on the walls. You can see them up behind me. And they have hundreds of different emotions, different shades of emotions, different ways we can feel. Learning them and learning them what they mean has just added such a spice to my life. And it's allowed me to get to know myself better. So have a look for some emotion charts. Let me know how you get on with it. And if you've got any questions, comments, anything, I'm here to be of service to you. Sending you lots and lots of love for a fabulous day. And enjoy the process. Enjoy the experiment. Play with it and have fun. Two things we often forget in life. That things need to be fun and we need more play. So don't get so bogged down in the seriousness of it. What were those steps again? Acknowledge, validate, blah, blah, blah. Just practice, play, and have fun. Get to know you, get to love you, get to accept you, get to give yourself more generosity. See you soon.